Previously on Chat 62, Mike Francis shared the influences that shaped his decision to become a Marine, the mentors who inspired him, and his journey through recruit training at Parris Island. In part 1, we explored the foundation of Mike's story, the mindset, values, and experiences that led him to earn the title Marine. Today, that journey continues. In part 2, Mike moves beyond the parade deck and into the School of Infantry before joining 3rd Battalion, 6th Marines, where the realities of life in the Fleet Marine Force begin to take shape. This is Chat 62. I'm Eric, and this is Mike Francis, Part 2. Real quick before we start, we've streamlined our contact info. From now on, if you have any questions, feedback, or ideas for future guests, just shoot us an email at chat62podcast@gmail.com. All right, let's fucking go. 10 days pass. Now it's on to SOI. Can I ask you, I don't know if I asked you before, what made you go that route of going infantry?
It was just that, Marine Corps infantry. And it's just kind of like, I did have some people talk to me about different things, but again, mentor buddy was a grunt. He was actually a recon guy. And that was just, I wanted to be, it's funny because things changed in SOI, kind of. Like, I wanted to be one of the fighters, like I wanted to be one of those dudes. I wanted to be a door kicker and all that good shit. And so, that's what I chose. Like, I felt like, just not to knock on any other MOS, because God knows we need all the support and help that we can get, man. People talk shit about Motor T folks and stuff like that, man. When my Humvee was broke in Iraq, who fixed it? Not me. Whenever we needed resupply and stuff brought out, like, who brought it out? Not the grunts. Like, logistics and Motor T people moved. Like, they brought our packages. They brought me my stateside Marlboro Reds. Like, without them, man, we would have been so much more miserable. So I'm like the last one to ever like meaningfully talk shit. I'll talk shit and joking about pogues and stuff, but I wanted to be a grunt, man. 03. That's it. Marine Corps infantry.
So what was SOI like for you?
SOI was awesome. There was this kid. I remember there was a bunch of us that we were flying into Jacksonville, and there was some girls, and WMs, female Marines, not just random girls. And some of us, and we were all going to go get a hotel room together and hang out before we had to check in the morning. And there's this little dude sitting next to me, like in his alphas, right? On the plane, his alphas. We're all in civvies, we got some stuff, but like, we ain't wearing it. And I remember him just saying, like, don't do it, man. Don't do what? He's like, just go there tonight. Go there tonight, check in. Don't go out in town. Don't do all that shit. And that is the first time I'd ever heard of this thing called Camp Guard, where if you don't get picked up by an infantry training company, then you get sent to this place called Camp Guard, which is like purgatory, and you have to patrol around Camp Geiger. And actually, a couple of my buddies who picked up in Charlie Company with me, they had came from Camp Guard. And so I did get to hear the horrible stories of that experience. So I went there that night, and it was so random and weird. It's like this wide open squad bay. You come in like, hey, I'm fucking, Private Francis, whatever. And they're like, okay, just go grab a bunk and sleep. And I'm like, okay, like, it's weird because you're kind of like, it's for like the first time ever as a Marine in the Marine Corps, because you're on leave in the Marine Corps, that you're doing things on your own now. So getting up and getting dressed in the morning, getting into your alphas, it's like officially check in and all of that stuff. And it's kind of a cool feeling. Again, like it's what you wanted. You wanted to be part of this organization. You wanted to be this person. And like, now you're getting that. So it was pretty cool.
It was weird not having someone tell you what to do for the first time. Like, okay, I have to do this on my own. I have to, I need to go here on my own. I need to go to the chow hall on my own. No one's going to march me over there. It was that first little bit of whatever freedom we had during that time.
Yeah.
SOI, you report. I assume you didn't get Camp Guard?
Nope. Did not get Camp Guard. Got picked up that first day.
So what was SOI like?
It was cool. You got to do, I mean, it was all just straight grunt shit, right? If I recall correctly, it was like 4 weeks, 4 weeks. And like the first 4 weeks is just everyone's an 11 pretty much. You're learning the, 203, you're learning the saw, you're learning everything that like the line platoons would use. And then like midway through, they ask who wants to be what MOS. And so this guy comes up talking about 11s. We kick in the doors. We're the first to fight. Like we're the real infantry guys, right? And then this guy, Corporal Campos, and he was horrible. Called him Concentration Campos. And he was the 31s. He was the machine gunner. And he's like, if you pick 31s, I'm going to destroy your life. You're going to hate your life. You're going to want to kill yourself. Like all of these things. And I was like, yeah, no, like he didn't even have to speak. I didn't want to be a machine gunner because of him. Like I just did not want to be with that dude. Sergeant Hurd, this chilled like black dude. He's the mortar guy. He's talking about mortarmen, but mortars, it didn't sound very exciting because they just kind of hang back in the rear. And, I mean, it just didn't sound like infantry enough. And then the guy who pitched the assaultman, the 0351, he must have been getting out the next day because he came up and he's like, I'm sorry, Staff Sergeant so-and-so, I'm Corporal so-and-so, I'm Sergeant so. He's like, hey, what's up, I'm Mike. Dude just drops his first name. Just cool as shit. And he's like, yeah, so we blow shit up. We shoot rockets. Like, oh, there's a tank. Let's go shoot it with this rocket. That's what we do. If you want to be a 51, come join us. And I was like, that's like the coolest dude ever. Like, that's who I want to be. I want to be that dude, like, so I put down on my wish list, you had 3 spots and I put 51, 51, 51. Like I did not put any backups.
Really?
So I got it, fortunately. And thank God, man, like because the 31s, dude, he fucked their lives up, man. Like those guys, they were probably some amazing machine gunners. If nothing else, very fit and knew how to run gun drills with their eyes closed. And again, I don't remember the dude that pitched us because he was literally like gone the next day. But I do remember our instructor who he had been a scout sniper. Super cool dude, Sergeant Flieger, dude. If somehow he hears this podcast, man, I'd love to talk with that guy because he was just super cool. We all loved him. And yeah, 51s, we didn't have to go out in the field as much. We actually did a lot of school training as you learn like every single armored vehicle, friendly and foe. Mm-hmm. And for I've been armored vehicle identification, not that we needed to ever shoot our rockets at anything armored. We shot on plenty of other things, but you want to, you don't want to blow up that Challenger over there that belongs to the Brits. You want to make sure you take out like the T-72 over there that belongs to the Soviets. So we had a lot of classroom, and then you do a ton of classroom with demo before you ever get to go actually do any live range demolitions too. Mm-hmm. So we got super lucky. Like we went to the field like once in those 4 weeks where we actually stayed the night. And so then we had like the squad bay to ourselves too, because the 11s and everybody else were always out in the field doing whatever things for those 4 weeks,
So you said it was 4 weeks of just the basic 11 training, right? And so the other 4 weeks were your specific MOS 0351 training.
Right.
Okay, got it. Okay, so 8 weeks total.
Yeah.
Was there anything else that stood out during that second half of the 4 weeks or the 8-week training?
Yeah, what's crazy also when you look at your progression in the Marine Corps, right, as a professional, you become a professional as you rank up. And I mean, at least that's the plan. I feel like I did. When you're in year 4, when you're in Iraq, you're over there and you're dealing with demolitions and you're putting all these charges together and doing all these kind of more high level complex things. And even now that I'm out, like 20 something years, it's funny to look back and just remember the first time that you ever had to crimp a blasting cap on a time fuse and like how fucking terrifying that was. Because they show you these pictures of like hands, missing fingers, and they talk about like how serious it is. And, like you got to hold it all the way out, put your head down with your Kevlar in case it blows up in your hands. Like it doesn't blow up in your face,
Wow.
And then by the time we're over in Iraq, we're like, here's one. We're just like a symbiote line of that shit. So I do think it's funny to look back at SOI and just remember that first time I ever had to crimp a blasting cap to 4 years later. We're hanging out smoking cigarettes around explosives.
Like willy-nilly, like nothing, right?
Yeah. Because like you could smoke around C4. It's not going to blow up. It needs heat and compression. So it might catch on fire and burn really hot. Just don't hit it with a damn hammer,
Yeah.
So people would think they would think that we're crazy. And, when we were doing something really, really serious, now we wouldn't be hanging cigarettes out of our mouth. Like, we'd take it seriously. We knew when we could smoke and when we couldn't.
You're done with SOI and you're up to that point where you got to choose your duty stations. Did you have any preferences?
We didn't get a choice.
Oh,
okay. It was for Charlie Company SOI. If you were A to whatever, LM and OK, L. So this is like if you were like A to L, you were going to 2-6. And if you were M to Z, you were going to 3-6, with the exception of the assaultmen. All of us stayed together. There was 15 of us. So all 15 of us went to 3-6 together, which was pretty nice because you had your buddies going to the fleet, and you're not really knowing what the hell to expect out there.
You get assigned to 3-6, Camp Lejeune. What was that time like over there?
Well, before we went, everyone was like, oh shit, 3-6. Like all the instructors, they're like, oh, you guys got fucked. And we're like, why? What's why? What's 3-6? Well, so to give a little history on 3-6, they were the first ones into Afghanistan in 2001. They're part of the 26th MU. They just came back from pre-deployment, pre-float leave. And then like September 9th of 2001, they came back that weekend. And 2 days later, 9/11 happens. So they end up going on the float. They end up being the first ones in. And then they go from that, that combat, the first ones in, and they get changed into the anti-terrorism battalion, who is responsible for Cuba and guard duty at the U.S. Embassy in Kabul, Afghanistan. And there's some other places too. I think there was something going on in the Horn of Africa that 3-6 got deployed to. So it really turned into kind of a crazy haze fest shit show. And they made the cover of the Marine Corps Times, and they were known as the Jackass Battalion.
Oh, shit.
So, we didn't know any different, man. And for what it's worth, when we got there, they were coming back from Cuba. So there weren't too many people. We just laid low, kept quiet, out of sight, out of mind. It was cool that when you get there, the first sergeant, greeted us. And, when you're part of 6th, 5th Marine Regiment, you get your Forget. And so he was there, greeted all of us. We all got our Forget for showing up, being part of that unit. You learn a little bit about, we all kind of learned about Bill of Wood before, but we learn about it a little bit more now. Really being around my 14 other guys, I think it really made the transition very well because we rolled together everywhere. Chow, whatever. We stuck together, and we had an incredible section leader, NCO, Corporal Goyette, who made sure, nobody fucked us. And he's like, you're my Marines. If anybody asks you to do something, respectfully tell them that you need to come talk to me first. And so, it was a good upbringing. It wasn't the hellacious experience, I think, that everybody expected for us to endure by going to 3-6.
Yeah, that's a great sign of leadership right there.
Yeah, Goyette was the man. He was an incredible leader. Like, we were super fortunate to have him whenever we got there.
What was daily life really like during that time?
Yeah, there was a lot of just kicking classes during the day. So you get up, you do your PT, and just kicking classes, keeping your knowledge up on armor, keeping your knowledge up on demolitions, those different things. We were slated to go to AP Hill, Virginia for training. So There wasn't a ton going on because we were going to go do that. So I don't think there was any field ops or anything like that. Guys getting back from leave from Cuba to get ready for AP Hill. And just, they were no longer an AT battalion. There was this transitioning going on a very heavy logistical side at the company level, putting platoons together and just making sure that we were ready for, what was it, like March, April of 04 is when we deployed to Afghanistan. February of 04, we did a CAX. So the focus was really kind of on that. I remember my mom being a little nervous about AP Hill because Marines, die in training, so that was kind of the first thing that I was going to do. And we woke up that morning and I was still a good kid. Like I wasn't like barracks drunk or crazy or anything. So flying low, right? Flying under the radar. They read off this list of names at like 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. And they're like, if your name was on that list, go see the XO. And it was like half the company. And my name was on there. And I'm like, the fuck did I do? Like I didn't do anything. Like I'm good. And we went over there. XO was like, everyone's standing here. You're not going to AP Hill. We're going to Afghanistan. Oh, yeah. That's like crazy. Like you wake up, you're going to Virginia. Nope, you're going to fucking Afghanistan now. Like all of a sudden, this shit's crazy. And what had happened was India company, I guess it dropped the ball at the embassy. And they were still, I guess they were the last ones doing anti-terrorism battalion shit. They were the last company. And we had to go over there and relieve them because they'd gotten into all sorts of trouble. 3-6, the jackass battalion. And so, yeah, we had to go over there in like an emergency relief. It was like a super crazy quick turnaround time too. I remember calling my mom. I'm like, good news, bad news. Don't have to worry about me going to AP Hill, Virginia anymore. She's like, oh, thank goodness. And I'm like, but I am going to Afghanistan. And she's like, you have got to be fucking with us. I'm like, no, man, I'm not going to call you at 5 o'clock in the morning, your time, just to fuck with you. Like, so they drove down to see me off and all that stuff. It was like a 6-week deployment or something like that. So it wasn't anything crazy. We just had to finish up what India did. It was enough, I think, for like a sea service and like the Global War Expeditionary. It was like enough for those two, qualified for that. So, I say like 3 deployments. We deployed. It wasn't the typical 7-month long Marine Corps deployment that people are used to, but yeah, I mean, we went over there nonetheless, and we had encounters and things happened, and yeah, I mean, it was a little baby deployment, right? It was a little baby one before my big one the next year.
It was a baby deployment, but it was a deployment nonetheless.
To a fucking hostile. Yeah. Isn't that weird how we have to justify that shit? Like, Marines are so weird. Like, yeah, you go to like an active combat zone that's like the hotbed of terrorism. And somehow you feel like somewhat inadequate because your deployment was only 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's just the way our fucking minds work, for reals.
Yeah. Yeah, like, oh man, I was on Iwo Jima. I'm a piece of shit,
I was there for a couple of days, but hey, I was there.
Yeah.
Was there anything during your time in Afghanistan that stood out?
Yeah, the one thing I'll never forget, well, there's a couple things, but obviously the first when we got to Kabul and then we left for the embassy. And I'll never forget. And like this actually hit me really hard whenever that whole pull-out debacle happened. There was this little girl, man, maybe like 4 or 5. She's like in this little pink, like fucking Cinderella. It was dirty as shit, but like, dress. And I remember her just like doing the thumbs up as we were coming out. And and just driving through that city, like you want to talk about a culture shock. 18 years old, you thought you were going to Virginia, you're in Kabul, which had like 700,000 people or something like that at the time. Like it was crazy. And everything's a traffic circle. There's no stoplights, stop signs, anything like that. And like, yeah, it got real quick. Like yeah, you're here. But I am thankful for that deployment because I think it allowed me to even go into the next one, the full 7-month deployment, that much more prepared because there's kind of the shock wasn't there. I've been here before, right? There was some familiarity.
So that being a shorter deployment compared to your 2 tours in Iraq, how else did that differ? Because I'm really fascinated about that, and that was one of the things that I wrote down, that you did do a tour in Afghanistan and 2 in Iraq. Other than the climate and then the time span, how else did those differ from each other?
So being in the embassy and being responsible for that and being part of a QRF, the great thing about it is we had some of the senior guys that had been there before. So talk about being familiar. They were very familiar with the embassy and how things ran. So one cool thing that I got to do by being like one of the few 50 ones that went on that, I think there was like 3 of us that went, and I got to go do a decommissioning event of some kind of 3-letter agency's Chevy Suburban. And the way that you decommission things over there is by blowing them up. So I got to like do demo real time, and I'm inside this vehicle, and I don't know, man, maybe like 100 something pounds of C4, because you got the bulletproof glass and all this different stuff and everything. And so part of it was actually I got to train, some of those 3-letter agency guys that had beards, civilian clothes, and like one looked like like has the hat on, got the beard going. They were super cool dudes. And it's funny, as I'd forgotten until after I got out of the Marine Corps. I was going through my stuff one day. I had a certificate of appreciation from the United States Embassy in Kabul, Afghanistan, for working with those guys and doing like a demolitions. I hadn't even been in the Marine Corps for a year, and I'm like training these fucking guys how to like do demo and stuff. And I remember finding that thing. I was like, oh shit. Like I had remembered doing the demo. I just had never remembered getting like anything for it. So it was great, man. It was cool. Like I said, it was kind of like a easing into combat zone, getting used to that life. And I feel like it greatly had me more prepared for what was to come, in the following year for sure.
So how much time passed from that deployment from Afghanistan to your next deployment, which is your first deployment to Iraq?
I can't remember exactly when we got back. I know we were there in 2003 in October, my birthday. 3 Octobers in a row I was deployed.
Wow.
So there wasn't a lot of time after getting back and then going to CAX. And then CAX was maybe like a month and a half, 2 months max before we went to Afghanistan. Something tells me it was right around Mother's Day of 2004. Like April, May, I don't remember. Something like that. So maybe a couple months had passed, before Afghanistan 1 and then Afghanistan 2.
Wow. What were the challenges during your deployment in Iraq for you?
Iraq was 05, 06. And I was section leader going into that. So I think the biggest challenge was actually the workup. So you're 20 years old, you're a section leader of like 15 other guys who you love, and we had lost guys on previous deployments. And like, you don't, not that anybody does, but like, you don't want to be that guy that loses anybody. So I think the biggest challenge was, like, I actually did a lot of studying on the Iraq war, how 51s were being used, implemented, what we were doing. There was no armor over there. Everything was demo. So kicking, hip pocket classes and stuff like that on demo, getting ranges set up by begging our lieutenant every fucking day for us to get to go do demo. And he came through, got us a nice demo range with the engineers. I think that the workup for me was more of a challenge than the deployment itself. Because once we got there, we knew what we were doing. Again, kind of going back to what I said in the very beginning, when you're just left to your imagination, the imagination can run wild. But once you get there and you get settled in and locked in, and it helped that we had a badass CO. Now Colonel Pitchford, he's still in, Captain Pitchford at the time. When we did CAX before that Iraq deployment, 7th Marines had just been there. So he got like myself and some of the other squad leaders, and we got to sit down and chat with squad leaders and section leaders from 7th Marines. And so, they kind of gave us the lay of the land, what things looked like, this, that, and the other thing. So I think that we were so much better prepared for Iraq than either Afghanistan. And yeah, it was a grind though, man. There was only one day in that 7 months that I did not get into camis and have to do something.
Really?
And we were out patrolling. And we would do like, it was either like a 1, 3, or 5 a.m. patrol every single night through the city. And then we were up all day, like doing things, running out, doing stuff. It was pretty damn relentless. So if anything was a challenge, maybe that, just the op tempo of every single day for 7 months, no days off.
Yeah, you're constantly on, and from what you're saying, it sounds to me like sleep was very minimal as well.
Yeah. Yeah. No, you didn't. Yeah, you didn't get a ton of sleep over there either. But, and that's the funny thing, right? So then when I talk about, like, tell people boot camp's the hardest thing you've ever done until now, the sleep deprivation, everything that we went through, how difficult it was. And then now you're this old man, 4 years older, and it's just, you're used to it, right? Like it's not a shock anymore. It's just what you're used to.
What helped you get through the tougher days while you were deployed?
Just the guys, man, the damn guys. So my 21st birthday was in Iraq. I'm laying there in my cot, and these 3 Marines, Liebrook, Myrie, Mercedes, they come in, and somehow, somewhere they acquired, because we didn't have shit where I was at. We were on the border of Syria and Iraq in a town called Husayba. It was like the Alamo. Like it was like, we did not have shit. We pissed in tubes. We didn't have showers for the longest time. It was roughneck, man. Like we were straight up, and like, the crazy thing is, that's what we wanted, right? Because for some reason, Marines, like, we love to bitch about being miserable, but if we get to be miserable, like, that's what we choose. Like,
Yeah,
the craziest creatures on earth, man. Like, try to explain that shit. But yeah, they acquired like an Otis Spunkmeyer banana nut muffin, and they lit a Marlboro Red and stick it in like the candle, and came in, woke me up singing happy birthday. And so it's like that's the stuff, man. It's the guys I was there with. And I know a lot of people are like, man, yeah, my guys were the greatest group of guys ever. Like those 05, 06 guys that I went to Iraq with, just nothing like them, man. Like just some of the most, like, the most phenomenal dudes I ever got to be with in my life,
What else stood out during that first deployment in Iraq?
What stands out now, right? What stands out now is what we did. At the time, I don't think we realized what we did. But, just a simple Google search of Operation Steel Curtain. And a month before that, we did Iron Fist. Just looking at that and what we did and the scale, and you realize, like, we actually did something pretty big, going back to the bigger than yourself kind of thing.
Mhm.
Not a ton stood out to me then, because I think when you're inside of it, sometimes it's really hard to step back and take a moment and look, whereas you can do it now. And just like one day detonating over 1,000 pounds of C4 to demolish dead space between our little camp and the city, so that guys couldn't come in and pop shots at us and RPGs and things like that. At the time, it was our job. It's what we did. But now you look back and you're like, fuck, that's a lot. That's a lot for one day. That's a lot of blowing shit up, So
Yeah, it is. It is, man. Was there anything else that stood out during that first deployment?
well, so Iraq was the last one, the one we're talking about right now. That was the 05 to 06. It was just, man, I don't know. It's what we wanted. Like, we got what we wanted. We got what we asked for. We got, like, probably the roughest conditions, living conditions for sure, of anybody in the battalion. And we did a damn good job, man. Guys showed up. We did our jobs. We took care of one another. We looked after one another. Yeah, it was probably like the greatest 7 months in the Marine Corps. I mean, we lost dudes. That sucks. Like, that's, that really sucks. But we lost dudes in other deployments too. So, comparatively speaking, we were where we wanted to be, with who we wanted to be, doing what we wanted to do. I don't think that happens a lot in the Marine Corps.
No, it doesn't. No, that's definitely something that you wanted, you got it, and you guys fucking improvise, adapt, you overcame, and you guys got through it. What part of deployment do you think civilians rarely understand?
This is a great. I was actually talking to my chat about this earlier because I came up with an idea for an episode that I need to do, and it was Neil and I need to bring our moms on. I don't know. I don't think civilians truly grasp what our families go through, and I don't think that we do either, because when you're there every single day out there doing things, you don't have time to think about your family missing you. You might miss your family, but you don't think about them missing you. Like, even if they write it in letters and stuff.
Yeah.
Over there, we know what we're doing. We know the condition of things. We know the danger level, the threat level. We know all of that stuff. They're back at home with no idea.
Mm-hmm.
And so for us, we are doing a job. We are in a place doing our job that we're very well trained, very well prepared. Being the Marines, not so well equipped, but not as well equipped as like the Army,
Yeah.
But we are. I had a lady ask me one time when I was home on leave. She told me where her son was. And she said, "How is that place in Iraq?" And it was Ramadi, so it's not a great place. And not that there was really any great places, but I told her, your son's in the safest place that he can be over there with other Marines. So, I think that it's funny because sometimes our selfless service gets a little selfish. I did this. I went through this. I went through this. But whenever we actually take a time to step back and look at it, like, our family and loved ones went through 7 months of not knowing if they were going to come home from work and someone was going to be there to tell them that their son. We knew we were alive. We knew.
Yeah.
They didn't. And so I think that civilians, and nobody will ever get what we do in combat. They think more about us, which is cool. Thanks for your service, all that stuff, everything not needed, but cool, appreciated. But the families, man, and I don't think that they realize the impact that the decisions that we make to live the lives that we live have on our families. I think that gets forgotten so much.
Well, that's very true. And it's funny that you mentioned about you and Neil getting your moms on and talking about your time in service. I think I have it in one of my episodes, and I've been bugging my mom about this for 2 fucking years. And I finally twisted her arm enough to finally get her on to talk about my time in service. And although I didn't do nearly as much as you guys did, there was still that worry in the back of her head. I think it's just a mom thing in general.
Yeah.
It was bad for her, but I'm sure for your guys' parents, it was magnified by so much more.
Beyond what even, because like I don't have kids. I'm not a parent. Neil's got his daughter. It's a lot of us are maybe in a place where we can understand more, but even having been over there doing it, like, you can't really fully understand what your family members went through.
In part 2, Mike Francis shared what life looked like after recruit training, from the School of Infantry to 3rd Battalion, 6th Marines, and his first experiences deploying overseas. But the story is far from over. Next time on Chat 62, the conversation continues as Mike reflects on leadership, responsibility, deployment, and the realities of serving alongside Marines he still calls brothers today. This is Chat 62. Stay the course and remember, your story matters. Semper Fi.
Struggling? You're not weak. You're human. Dial 988, then press 1 for the Veterans Crisis Line. Train support that understands veterans. Stay the course. Thank you, Ozzy.